Welcome to the mystery. Maybe you do not know. I am Maria. Wish you a good day. The story of girls is capable of talking to the dead. Late at night, near midnight in late March 1848, Katie and Maggie Fox suddenly burst into tears and called their parents from their sister's bedroom at their home in Hyattsville, New York. The mysterious sounds echoed in the room caused the girls to wake up. The Fox family lit candles and searched throughout the house but could not find the cause of the noise. The next night, the sound continued to sound. And all night after, and all nights during the next 2 weeks. Every night this sound lasts a few hours and it makes the Fox family live in fear, anxiety and fatigue. March 31st, 2 girls go to bed early because too tired. And that sound almost immediately resounded. This time, Kate responds to the noise with applause. Surprisingly, this method works for that sound. Maggie quickly followed and everything was as if he was asking that noise to do what I do. She clapped her hands 4 times and the cries responded 4 times. Within a few hours, the 2 girls continued to communicate with the source that led to the sound. Through this request and response, the girls understood that this was an invisible intellect. The soul of a murdered street vendor named Charles B. Rosanna whose body is still buried beneath the house. Obviously this soul only contacts Katie and Maggie. The following night, Margaret invited neighbors around to see his daughters chatting with this spirit. At first the neighbors were skeptical and asked a series of personal questions about themselves for what was supposed to be the ghost. With the help of Katie and Maggie, the soul answered every question, with yes or no, correctly. Neighbors are shocked and scared, but others still need more evidence. Several volunteers dig into the Fox family's home to search for the remains of Charles Rossner. Although the currents of water sprang up, they could not be dug, but the inability to find the evidence did not stop those who believed in the occult. They were convinced that there was an existing soul in this small town and that 2 Fox girls could talk to the dead. By the middle of the 19th century, the Fox sisters became celebrities. They traveled around the world to talk to mysterious ghosts. By the 1880s, more than 8 million believers believed the Fox sisters could talk to the dead. The ability of Katie and Maggie to be respected and viewed as a religious phenomenon can become a form of spiritualism. Over the years, spiritualism inspired Arthur Conan Doyle, bringing hope to Lincoln's widow Mary Todd Lincoln. And makes the great magician Harry Houdini extremely angry with the allegations that all is just a scam. Knowing that the special abilities of Katie and Maggie would not be properly recognized in the small village of Hyattsville, Margaret sent his 2 daughters to live with their sister Leah in Rochester, New York. At that time, the city was fertile ground for political activity, religious freedom, and industrial innovation. In Rochester there are wealthy people that Leah is sure they will be willing to pay for this special ability of their 2 sisters. Leah started acting. She organized 2 sisters to perform a soul-searching event in Rochester and invited celebrities like Isaac and Amy Post. She also replaced Maggie and Katie when one of them failed to do so. On November 14, 1849, the 2 Fox sisters, Maggie and Leah, celebrated their first ever public gathering at the famous Corinthian Hall in Rochester. Local newspapers advertise the event and event information is spread throughout the city. Hundreds of people have come up, some feel very surprised while others simply come to poke fun. But in the end, no one has a derisive attitude, at least according to the Rochester Daily Democrat. The people present cannot fail to admit the evidence of the soul call that the ghost was really there. Maggie, Katie and Leah became international celebrities. Celebrities such as Horace Greeley, William Cullen Bryant, Sojourner Truth and William Lloyd Garrison came to witness their soul call. The Fox sisters have traveled the world, from London to New York City, giving everyone the chance to witness their exchanges between real life and the afterlife. Often, People who approach the ability of two sisters have just experienced grief and hurt because of the loss of loved ones. For example, Mary Todd Lincoln, who was still suffering from the pain of not only losing her husband but also her son, attended the Fox family's soul call. People who carry such pain are always willing to spend almost any amount of money to talk to their family members again. And Leah, who manages most of the Fox's financial activities, was extremely happy to receive this. As Maggie and Katie matured, they grew increasingly frustrated with their older sister. Sometimes they wanted to get away from the call, but Leah said it was impossible. Although money continues to flow, Maggie and Katie seem to have only a very small share. When Maggie falls in love with and secretly marries explorer Elisha Kent Kane, though this seems unlawful, she first hides Leah. But very quickly Leah discovered and scolded Maggie and her lover. Even so, Maggie and Kane remained in love until he died suddenly in Havana, Cuba, in 1857. Maggie is seriously depressed and starts drinking alcohol. On October 21, 1888, Maggie felt she had nothing left to lose. That night, in front of thousands of people at the New York Academy of Music, Maggie Fox, fatigued, depressed, and almost drunk, reached the middle of the stage. In the presence of the audience and Katie beside her, she revealed a shocking message to everyone, that of the Fox sisters was a hoax. She said, both on stage and in a signed affidavit published in the New York World, that the deception began when they were girls. The sound of their home in Hydesville is not a mysterious noise, but just the sound of falling fruit. At night, when we went to bed, we often forced an apple into a rope and pulled it up and down, causing the apple to hit the floor, or we dropped the apple on the floor, making a strange noise. Maggie explained. To continue the scam, the girls tried to make noises or knock by breaking their toes, fingers and joints. Maggie has proven herself to be a talented performer by removing her shoes and socks from the stage and making her toes emit noises. She also explained the other ways her sisters used to trick people, such as knocking on a specially designed table, and learning how to write on a rock with her feet only. The New York Herald described the scene that night. There was a moment in which it was so funny, but then it became incredible. Every newspaper in the country calls this a spiritual death because the person who helped turn it into a phenomenon around the world again reveals himself as a scammer. In fact, spiritualism continues. It really revived after World War I, but the Fox sisters are seen as bronze. The believers blamed Maggie's drunkenness, or even assert that bad spirits had penetrated her and forced her to denounce her ability. Finally, Maggie also compromised. A year later, she dismissed her confession and said, "I needed money too much and everyone took advantage of the situation. The excitement also caused my spirit to be imbalanced. When making those scary statements, I was irresponsible with my words." All three of the Fox sisters were gradually forgotten and died in poverty, beginning with Leah's departure in 1890. In July 1892, Katie died from final alcoholism. Less than a year later, Maggie died of complications related to alcoholism. But there is a strange ending to this story. In 1904, Arthur Conan Doyle wrote that the students had sneaked into the old house of the Fox family, then known as Spook House. There, they found bone fragments clinging to a ruined wall, and was later examined by a local doctor and thought to be about 50 years old, around the age of the character's death. Charles B. Rossner by Maggie and Katie. Later, many people said that apart from the skeleton they also found tin carts of street vendors. After all, did the Fox sisters really talk to the dead? Or the story of the bone itself is just another scam? We probably never know for sure without the help of a real co-worker. Thank you for watching the video. Please like and subscribe to follow other videos. Goodbye and see you again.